This is Stars and Scopes with your friend Uma, updated every new and full moon with guidance based on planetary transits in the current sky and extra support from tarot. For accuracy, take a look at your rising sign first if you know it, and do feel free to listen to your sun, moon and rising if you'd like the full picture. If you're interested in your birth chart, check out the readings page at umaruby.com, and if you'd like to support the work, head over to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and you can buy me a coffee. Finally, if you're a visual learner, look up Uma Ruby Tarot on YouTube and you can watch and learn. Okay, let's take a look. Hello Gemini and Gemini rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Aries happening on Monday, October the 10th at 7:55 a.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So as far as that ritual, do it the night before on the 9th. There'll be plenty of lunar energy for you to release what it is that no longer serves you. Now on that, I get a strong sense that there's something here about your frustration with humanity. Hear me out. Aries for you, Gemini, rules your 11th house, which is your sense of community, humanity, greater understanding, the greater good, the greater collective. It's a space that you're really confident in, and it's a space that you have a lot of information and a lot of mental activity that is dedicated to kind of trying to figure out how we can best serve humanity, how we can best serve our fellow human being. I think that there is definitely a loggerheads vibe that I'm getting here. I feel that you're sort of working away at something a lot, and it's just not appearing the way that you would have liked it to. It's not manifesting in the way that you thought that it would. And that's in somehow leading you to be a bit disappointed is what I'm getting here. There's this lunation is activating the Three of Wands on the zodiac. This is a moment to look out and to have assessed and written the action plan and to move ahead, to look at the frontier and to go with it. I've got the Emperor here, which is big Aries energy as well. So as far as confidence and as far as stability and as far as game plan, the Emperor has a lot to teach us about that confidence activation. I also have the Two of Wands and Death here, so I think that there may have been a bit of a reroute, or there should be potentially a bit of a reroute for you. There may be things that you need to go over, Gemini. There may be one line of questioning or one line of activation, one road, one method of getting your message out there, of healing to the greater good. It feels to me that there's almost a frustration here, which I understand and completely respect. I get it. And it's probably got a lot to do with that Mars in Gemini as well. Remember how Mars is there? There's that fire that keeps on getting lit in your soul purpose, and you've got the next 6 months to deal with that. But I think I'm almost getting this strong sense to tell you to put your foot on the brake, and not to silence you and not to censor you in any way, but definitely as far as just weighing up where your energy is being spent and how you're preserving your private energy to maintain this momentum, and also probably look at what's working and what isn't working. And I think that there's definitely a compulsion here to destroy or to get agitated or to chime out, speak out about what isn't working. And I think that it might be a bit of a matter of perspective, because I can see that the base note of this and the base note of an Aries full moon in the 11th, think about that confidence and passion that Aries has. Think about that forward activation, and think about what projects, what relationship you have with your sense of community and humanity. Think about that, and think about where the frustration is coming from, and what is this fire in your soul that is getting lost in translation, because that's what I think is really happening here. And this is why death and the Two of Wands has come up, is because you can see your attention is all focused on one avenue, one direction. You're like, set, forget, I'm doing this, I'm going that way. And yet Tarot is really asking you to reconsider. Tarot is really asking you to maybe look at that treasure map again and see if there might be another journey for you, or a different way of approaching the current one that you're on. I'm reminded to think about Pluto and Mercury too. Remember, in that way we talked about Mercury being retrograde, and that there were messages or information that needed to be gone over. There was communication that perhaps, rather than being so forthright with it, it might be a good time during these last 3 weeks when Mercury was retrograde to have a go over, think it through, mull it over in your mind before putting it out there. Now is the time to put it out there. There's something about your root system. There's something about your home environment. It could be your ancestry. But there's something here that needs that info. Because we've got death here, and death, to me, it reminds me of Pluto quite a lot. And it also reminds me of the 8th house. And that's where Pluto is for you right now, Gemini. Pluto, the planet of transformation and destruction and rebirth, is lingering around in your 8th house of the same thing, of sex and death and grief and sorrow and loss and pleasure. All of those incredible ties that bind. There's something of your transformation that can aid and benefit your sense of community, and it can aid and benefit what you're trying to offer them as well. I think that there's a big relationship between your home, your ancestry, your 4th house, this transformation. But Pluto and Mercury find themselves in a trine at the moment, which is a very supportive aspect. I think that this would be really beneficial, because what I see and what I can perhaps imagine here is that there's just been too much fire in your vibe. And that's not to say that fire is a bad thing. It's really great. But Mars is going to be lingering in your 1st house for the next 6 months. So the trick will be is to measure that fire, so you've got enough to see you through. You don't want to run out of fuel too early. And there's something in your soul. There's a fire in your soul. There's a real burning ember there that is going to express itself, but in right order. And it is going to benefit humanity. It is going to benefit your community. You are going to help them through. But I don't want this for you. I don't like this energy on you, Gemini. This kind of, it's like a fed up sort of burnout in some way, but it's sort of almost like a disappointment too. It's just sort of like, oh, well, that's not sticking. Why aren't they, but why didn't I, why aren't they picking up what I'm putting down? Why can't they see what I see? There's a lot attached to this transformation, and there's a lot attached to the deeper resonance of the 8th house as well. There's a lot of sex and a lot of death and a lot of grief that can really be used to really good benefit. This Plutonian energy in your 8th house has been there, and it's been there since 2008, so it's a slow burn as well. It doesn't have to be so blatant. But because Pluto is stationed direct, they'll be moving soon enough into Aquarius. They'll be in Aquarius full time from 2024. So the way that I look at it, it's kind of like our last opportunities to really reckon with that transformation, to really absorb and to incorporate the lessons that Pluto has given us in Capricorn into our lives can happen over the next maybe year and a half, 2 years, probably a year and a half. So it's almost like be like Pluto, rather than trying to get it all done yesterday or trying to get the thesis written or the freaking, life's work completed and completely booked out or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but use this Aries full moon to tell Aries to take a back seat because you've got it. That would be probably a good thing, a good way to look at this reading. Aries is great for that direction, for that, let's get it done yesterday. Gemini, let's face it, so are you, and I think that there's a lot to be learned for the measured nature of Capricorn. There's a lot to be learned for the diligence of Capricorn here, especially when it comes to transformation. There's a lot to be learned from Virgo in that same way of diligence and of repetition and of steady measure rather than force fire. Because if you mix Gemini and Aries too much, then you get an explosion and a dissipation that's over real quick. What I think here, especially if you're working in areas of transformation and of the underworld and of grief and sex or whatever it is, you're working in that really juicy space, you kind of want to allow yourself to chew on it for a while. You kind of want that to be explored with the regard that it deserves and with the time that it deserves. You don't want to rush this, and you don't want to rush into anything that's going to leave you disappointed and have you screw it up and throw it in the bin and then slowly start to think that you're a failure, because you're not at all. It's just the energy of the planets, babe. And the tarot's letting me know that too. So coming back to this Aries in the 11th, I think that there's going to be a real great moment for you to release the urgency that you have when it comes to raising humanity up to their highest vibration and their greatest potential. I trust you and I believe you, Gemini, that you know what you're doing and that you really have a vision and that you can see that what you have to offer is really beautiful and really vital and vibrant. I think that this would be a great lunation to let go of any of the disappointments or the shortcomings that you've attached to yourself about your progress. Because when dealing with the deep stuff, the best lesson is to steady as she goes. Take your time in the discovery. This is the last lunation before eclipse season too. So the eclipses are playing out in Taurus and Scorpio. The first one will be a solar eclipse in Scorpio, and that will be happening in 2 weeks. So that's a big power outage. That's a big short-circuiting. Look at this full moon in Aries as an active release. And then over the next month, we'll see what is being released from powers other than us, greater than us. I hope that has made sense, Gemini. So I think I'm done. It's been many hours of me trying to get this over the line, and I've done it. So that's your horoscope. I'll be with you in 2 weeks for the solar eclipse in Scorpio. If you'd like your birth chart read, then please do head over to umaruby.com and book yourself a reading with me. The spirit reading has been going really beautifully, and there's a lot to be said for the difference between our sun sign, our identity, our moon sign, our shadow, and our rising sign, our soul's purpose, our soul's potential. If we can alchemize and meld and work with the sun sign and the moon sign and raise ourselves up to their highest potential, then it's very interesting to see what happens in spirit land and what different portals open. So maybe step away from the brain, step away from the identity at this full moon, and allow your spirit, allow your soul to scream a little in confidence and in righteousness, and as the warrior that it is during an Aries full moon. But see what happens and see the difference. Separate this from this. All right, Gemini, I love you. You take care, and I'll speak to you in 2 weeks. Bye.